when liberals look at the people in ghettos, they say, racism, that's why they're not succeeding. And Sowell is saying, no, it's not. Because if you look at this group from the West Indies, they also came from the experience of slavery. They are also black, so they also face racism, and yet they do well. So it has to be something else. And then what Sowell is saying is that they were robbed of their culture, and so they picked up the culture of the people around them, and the people around them were rednecks. And if you look at the white redneck culture and the black redneck culture, they have a lot of the same values. They don't particularly respect education. They love Jesus. They use violence in their conflicts. And even Ebonics, which is, black English, is actually all from the west of England.
I want to say, if you guys look at your community, right? Who owns most of the houses? And it is a lot different, right? It's not black people. And it's not that way. It's by that way by design. I guarantee you, most of the houses is owned by Jews, right? And just because you own a house does not mean that you own the land. It's completely different because you can own a house and then the state and they can still own the land. You get what I'm saying? So you said that the past isn't important, but it is. Because if you know your history, you know what to look out for. You'll see that they playing the same exact game. So back in slavery time, right? What they would do is they would have like a little lottery thing where they will make only a certain amount of slaves free, which will give them the hope of, oh, maybe one day I can be free. Give them a little bit of contentment. That's exactly what they're doing now, right? You see some millionaires, right? You see, which gives the idea that, okay, maybe one day I could be a millionaire too. But guess what? You're a millionaire, but you don't own anything. You don't own anything. It's millionaire. What I'm saying is you don't own anything as far as like actually having ownership, right? If a basketball player, they could be millionaires, but guess what? They don't own the teams. They don't own the NBA. The same thing, right? I think Jay-Z was speaking about this. Where he was just trying to start owning certain type of things. Even Dave Chappelle was speaking about it. Cat Williams was speaking about it, right? They don't make it they don't give you the space where you actually can own something. They'll allow you or a certain amount of them to be millionaires, but guess what? When it comes to actually owning shit that matters, that you own, they can't take from you, they're not putting you in that position. Kanye West even just went through the same thing when he became a billionaire and he created his shoes, and guess what? They still fucked him over because he did not own Adidas. He had to go through them. So what we're saying is that there
He
is
owned this
systems.
shoe.
There
What
are
are you talking
hold
about,
up,
Ash?
I'm almost done. There are systems placed where, yeah, there's they allow a little bit of us, a little bit of financial freedom, but there is still a matrix. My time is up. That's all I wanted to say.
Ash.
No, hold on. Let's go to Ty. Go ahead, Ty.
The man owns Yeezys.
I completely understand that history does play into our reality, right? It has something to do with what we go through now. But I feel like we tend to focus on the parts of history that keeps us oppressed instead of focusing on all of the parts of history that shows that we prevail regardless. Also, during slavery, there were slaves who were given their land for a penny because their masters were afraid and ran away. So they owned that land for a penny. White people came over and decided to give them money for the land. And because Black people didn't know about money, we were uneducated. We took the money and gave up the land. That is something we still do today when there is no excuse for it. There's too much out there to be educated on. We decide to not educate ourselves or to not take in the information and take advantage of it. My grandfather, my grandmother's father owned multiple properties. And all of that went away due to lack of education and us not educating our children on how to take care of that. Instead of going after the things that are important, like building financial and generational wealth, we focus on material things. That's why I say we hold ourselves back way more than any oppressor can hold us back. We do it to ourselves. There's not a lack of information out here. We're in 2025. You can go out and find any type of information and find a way to make something happen. But instead, you place it with excuses and what happened in the past instead of taking also what happened in the past and using it to prevail. Our land.
I honestly still disagree. I feel you to a certain extent because I understand what you're saying, because I don't think that I'm using what happened in the past to still be oppressed. That's not even realistic, right? But I think that us acknowledging it somehow does something to Black people, right? I'm not going to change facts. It literally states here, right? You can look this up. Systematic, because what I will point out is that my mom, right? She's 70, right? So she was the direct effect. Like she marched, she did all of that. She was with Opal in Fort Worth. They marched back then for Juneteenth way back in the day, right? So my mom is a rider, right? So I grew up around riders, right? But my mama honestly understood systematic oppression. She always told me, my grandmother was born in 1925, and what she told me was, we never wanted to be mixed in with the white people. We just wanted the same opportunities. When they integrated schools, that's what messed up everything for everybody, because we really didn't want to be mixed in, right? Because once that happened, that's when the systematic oppression happened of our people. And that wasn't but 30 years ago. Y'all be talking like this shit was 150 years ago. This is still recent. So the ramifications of that still exist today. Yeah, do we have a class of people that are a degenerate class? Yes, everybody does. But we also have people that are doing things and that are making things happen. So for you guys to make any kind of negative connotation to be like, Black people ain't doing this and we need to be doing that. No, it's absolutely a class of people that are doing those things, right? We doing those things despite systematic racism. It's not because it doesn't exist. And I also think that we should continue to actually acknowledge it. And I'll end.
I'm gonna just say this real quick and grab some wine if I can.
Well, I just want to say this just real quick. I do agree with what y'all saying about the systematic oppression and racism, but to Ash's point, if we are the ones, like for instance, look at everybody that's really signed under Jay-Z. They're mostly like Uzi doing his big one. Kanye West, billionaire, Rihanna, he put them in a position to win. He took control of the label. He took control. So I do feel like when it comes to hire people that has that type of money, yes, they should be looking to own versus being paid off. But when it comes down to us at a lower level, we have the property. When you go out west, when you go out south, it's predominantly Black. When I was living out there, you would see them fix up these homes and these complexes and give us nice property. But what do we decide to do instead? The next week, it was filled with piss. It was giving people something, equity and money, but not teaching them how to do it and how to spend it is what's going wrong in our community. Even over COVID, almost every household, and well, a lot of households that I knew, they were doing those business loans and not like they was getting $100,000 per household and was not investing it correctly. They weren't taking down, instead of these people coming into our communities and buying these buildings and putting these liquor stores in our neighborhoods, we should be buying them out and filling it with mini markets. So then we can do a bigger grocery store. If you're not teaching, if we don't have the education, if you keep asking for equity and money before giving education to the people that's going to have to support us, then that's pointless, because you as a billionaire, Beyonce, when she was doing her clothing line, it was just seen as less than because she was Black. So when you don't educate yourselves on the importance of you as a person, your dollar, how important it is and where it goes matter, then at this point, you're going to be handing people money just for them to turn around and spend it at the other places like they've been doing. And we're not going to buy the properties that we need to buy in our community.